This podcast is from Morning English.
Hail a taxi.
Bus schedules tell you what time a bus will stop everywhere.
学口语就来早安英文。
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Morning English. This is Colin.
This is Winter. So Colin, you don't have a car, do you?
Nope. I have one in Canada, but not here in China.
So why not?
Well, the transportation options are so good here in China compared to Canada and the US that I never felt the need to buy a car in China.
Really? Well, let's talk about transportation for today's podcast.
Sounds good. But before we start, let's give everyone a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Where does Colin drive too fast? Is it A, Canada, or B, China?
对，今天 Colin 老师呢，在节目一开始就给我们留了一道听力题。Where does Colin drive too fast? OK， 大家带着这道问题来我们今天的这一期节目里面找找这道题的答案吧。So, since you don't drive a car, how do you get around the city?
I get around the city mainly by scooter.
Scooter.
Yeah, you know, those electric motorcycles.
Ah, yes, scooter, S-C-O-O-T-E-R, right?
Yeah.
Scooter 就是电动车嘛，那种小型摩托车，对吗？
Yeah.
我不是还送你去修过你的电动车吗？ So why did you decide to use one of those instead of taking the subway or driving a car?
Well, they're really convenient for short trips. It's faster than driving because of all the traffic. With a scooter, you can move around a lot of the traffic jams easily. The subway's very good, but it doesn't always go to the places that I need to go. So riding my scooter is, more efficient.
Yeah, I bet you save a lot of money too.
Yeah, especially paying for parking and not getting tickets for speeding. I can't go fast enough to get caught for speeding here. Also, parking is usually free for scooters.
啊，对 ，Colin 讲到说Scooter 电动车不太容易因为超速拿到罚单 right?
Yeah.
大家看这个单词 speed 是速度 right? 后面加上 ing 变成 speeding 就变成了超速驾驶超速行驶 right? OK 那刚刚 Colin 提到还有一个单词 ticket 我们今天的这个话题里面出现 ticket 这个词肯定不是门票的意思吧
No, definitely not. It's an official notice that orders you to pay a fine because you have done something illegal while driving or parking your car.
That's right. Ticket 就是我们如果交通违章了，就是会收到警察的那一个 ticket 罚单 right? 交警的罚单。比方说违规停车就会收到 a parking ticket、那如果是超速驾驶就会收到 a speeding ticket. Alright, did you get a lot of speeding tickets in Canada?
Oh, yeah, especially when I was younger. I was always driving too fast.
So why do you drive in Canada?
Well, everything is far apart in Canada. For example, the closest grocery store to my house would take an hour to walk to. Taxis are very expensive, and buses don't run very often.
Oh, well, why not use a scooter in Canada?
That's a good question, but I've never actually seen one in Canada.
Oh, true.
In Europe, they're popular, and in most of Asia, but not where I live in Canada. Also, the weather.
Right.
It snows a lot, so it's not usual to have a scooter or even a motorcycle as a main form of transportation. For 4 or 5 months, there might be snow on the ground.
因为你在加拿大的东岸嘛，所以才有那么大雪。那我们在温哥华真的没怎么见过大雪的。So what do you do when the weather is very cold or raining here?
Well, the cold doesn't bother me. I'm a Canadian. I can dress for that. But in the rain, it just depends on how far I have to go and how heavily it's raining. If it's not far, I will walk, but otherwise I'll hail a taxi or get a DD.
Ah, did you hail a taxi the same way in Canada as in China?
No, it's a little different. If you want a taxi to stop for you on the street, you need to put your arm straight up over your head and wave it a little. But to hail a taxi here...
You put your arm straight out in front of you and move it up and down, right?
Right.
OK, 我们刚刚讲到这个词组叫做 hail a taxi. Hail a taxi. Hail a taxi.
Hail, yes.
Yeah, H-A-I-L. Hail a taxi. 就是我们说的打出租车了。招手停 right? Hail 这个动词就是专门指的招手打车的意思
Right.
So do you have DD in Canada?
No, but there are similar services like Uber and Lyft. but they're both much more expensive.
Oh, why?
Well, here in China, there's so many people that it makes all public transport cheaper. Buses are not really useful outside of the large cities in Canada.
Yeah, they don't come very often, right?
Right. I remember when I first came to China, I asked an English-speaking friend, where can I get a bus schedule? Well, he didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Bus schedules tell you what time a bus will stop everywhere.
Right, because like buses come here every 5 or 10 minutes, so no bus schedule is needed. 在加拿大那个巴士都是按照时间表走的，对吧？ Bus schedule 就是他们有一个自己的时间表 timetable， 就是半个小时甚至1个小时才有一班，就真的哇很崩溃。
You know, I didn't know how fast the buses come here because in my city in Canada, they come every 2 hours.
Yeah, except for the largest cities,
That's right.
Like in Vancouver. Thank God we're in Vancouver. So every half an hour. But I still can't stand it.
Yeah, well, if you don't know when the bus is coming, you might have to stand in the snow for 2 hours. Or even in Vancouver for half an hour.
Yeah, it's way too cold for that.
Oh, yeah. You know, there's one other reason why I don't want a car here.
Oh, what's that?
Well, in Canada, all my friends and family have cars. But here, many of my friends don't. So, you know, I would have to spend a lot of time driving them around the city when they need something.
You don't want to help your friends?
Well, not all of them.
You're terrible.
Well, we're out of time today, but before we go, we want to remind you of today's question.
Yes, where does Colin drive too fast?
Is it A, Canada, or
B, China? Yeah, 大家仔细听听我们今天的节目内容，就可以从我们的对话里面找到这道题的答案啦。
Well, thank you everybody for joining us for today's Morning English podcast. This is Colin.
This is Winter. See you next episode.
See you.
Hail a taxi. Hail a taxi.
To hail a taxi in the morning.
学口语就来早安英文。